Okay, I'm working here on a Jaguar S type. Here's the coolant reservoir. As you can see, there's coolant inside. And I see I'm losing coolant because the level was a bit higher. But while still, the temperature is still high, you can see it's evaporating. Right, okay, so what I want to do is I want to drain the coolant, and I want to see if I start the engine, if new coolant gets inside this reservoir, to see if I've got a clog somewhere in the system. So in the Jaguar X type, the drain was from this side, but in the S type it's down below. So if you can see here is a hole in this plastic plate, and there you'll see something to turn around. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so this thing, there's a screw, and a little bit upwards. You can see this will be the spot where the coolant will go gushing out down. So I'm going to put a bucket below here, and to gather the coolant, wear some gloves, and then unscrew that screw and let the coolant get out. So as you can see, my bucket gets stuck under the car, so I need to move the car a bit up, and right here, I need to place it down. Okay, see, yeah. Right there is a spot I can use to crank this car up. Okay, so I put this device underneath. You can see I put it right there. And I'm going to lift up the car. Okay, like that. And now there's a bit of space, so I can unscrew that screw there. Okay, buckets. Still nothing. There it comes. Let me see if it's hot. Just a bit. Okay. Let's wait. Okay. What I didn't realize was that the system also started to leak from here, because I didn't remove this piece of plastic, so it's moving all over the cover to here. So it made a bit of a mess. if you start working on the car, first unplug the battery. Here I've got a key number 8, and I'm going to unplug the minus. So first unplug the minus, and then we're going to unplug the plus. You can see the coolant is drained from the system. It's still leaking, but you can see this reservoir is empty. And for the thing I wanted to do, I'm going to stop the process of getting rid of the coolant and see if I can get some coolant back into this system, into this reservoir, to see if there's a clutch. So I'm going to fire up the car. In parking setting. It's empty. Okay, so I think the water pump is broken because there's no coolant being pumped into this reservoir. There should always be a little residue of coolant. And you can also check, now the engine's off, but if you put your hand, with a glove of course, here on the opening, and you don't feel any pressure on your hands, that means there's no pressure being generated, meaning the water pump doesn't pump anything. If there's still coolant inside, if the coolant reservoir is full, and you run the engine and you open up the cap, there might be pressure, but it's possible also by a boiling of the coolant. So it's boiling and then generating pressure, but it's not the pressure generated from the water pump. And so the water pump you can find over there below, that silverish gray. That's the water pump. And to get it out, you need to remove here. Oh, wait. This air pipe, and then underneath there are several coolant hoses you need to remove, and then you can reach the pump. So removing the water pump, first we need to remove this cover. It's stuck here, usually here, there with clamps, so I'm going to loosen them and remove them. If you loosen this piece, then usually it's over these knobs, so you need to move them over it, and then you can remove the whole cover so it's loose completely. I think I also am going to remove this part, so it's stuck with the screw here and there, I think. And we also need to remove this part. Screws with plastic screws, also in clamps. So be careful taking them out. Okay, remove the cable from the airflow sensor, and you do it by pressing here and moving slowly, moving like this till it's loose. See, here it's clamped with this. Press it down and move in that direction. Okay, and so loosen it here and here. This is moving. Still stuck to this piece, but this was only connected here, so it's stuck with that cable. Need to remove this one and remove a lot more. here need to untight this screw and make this loose. And then I think we can remove this whole system at once. You can remove that one by just holding it here with one hand and then gently forcing it out. This is how it looks when you remove it. Okay, so now I did untie this screw, so this is loose. You can see I can draw it away. Let's see where it's stuck. Okay. It's not stuck here, it's stuck there. So this lid is stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew this screw, remove this tube from this part, and then just remove the lid. And by doing that, the lid also got loose, so that's cool. So this one is loose. You can remove this lid, and here we see the filter, the air filter. Okay, if you look here, this is the spot where the the thermostat is located. So if you want to remove it and replace it, you need to unscrew. Where is it? Oh, is it loose? Anyway, it's located there. Okay, so I noticed actually these screws are screwed from below. So here you can place something, a ratchet, to unscrew these screws, and then you can move this up. And I think I'm also going to do that because I also want to test the thermostat, and I want to do it by placing it in water, in warm water, and to check if it opens or not. To remove the system, I think I'm going to unclamp this clamp and then move this part up. To remove that clamp, you need a tool like this, and then you just place it over those two clips and move these parts together. But I did so already, and there was a little bit of coolant leaking, and the reason for that is that I didn't pour out all the coolant before I started the job. I just did part of the coolant, so I need to remove the rest of the coolant first. So there was just a little bit of coolant remaining in the system. Well, everything I can get out is okay. I see there's a little bit of debris also in the system itself, just a little bit. Okay, so I put the tool on the clamp, and then you can gently move it down. I'm going to do it with two hands. Okay, so that clamp is down there, and I think I'm also going to unclamp this clamp. I'm not quite sure, but well, let's try. And I'm going to unclamp it here as well. Here's a clamp. Oh, I see this different kind of clamp. And unclamp it here. And unclamp it there. Okay, so this one is loose. Try to put back these clamps in a spot where you can actually reach them, because when I started they were all on the side near these lines. It's not an easy task to remove them that way. Also here, this one was a little bit stuck, so I need to put it back here, this clamp, and I decided to unclamp it here and remove it. It was easier. And I think I'm also going to remove here this plug for the sensor. Then there are two more clamps here. And is there something else? Here, this one is quite long, so beware of that. If you remove it, it's a long distance to remove it from this tube. Okay, removing this connector, just pressing down here and moving up, and it's loose like that. I'm going to put it a little bit aside if it works. Oh no, it's stuck to this line. And then remove those clamps. I got myself a big job this time. This clamp broke, as you can see over there. Oh, it did break here, but there was no way I could get it loose, so I decided to cut with a Dremel here. But now I want to cut from the other side, and this thing is in the way. It's I think the motor for opening and closing the throttle body. So I think I'm going to unscrew all these screws here. One, two, three, four, even five, I think I can see. And loosen this one. Need to remove the tie rib here, because I think this clamp is broke, so somebody just put it on. Doesn't stick that well anyway. No, I don't even have to remove it. It's loose anyway. So. Okay, just to do these things. Okay, I managed to untighten these two clamps. The last one was broken, and I had to cut it into several pieces. And after, I think, 1 hour or 2 hours of work, finally it got loose. Important, those two hoses, there's one below, one above, stick together. So if you want to move the clamp that way, you need to move this hose up. Then those screws that go from the bottom up to the top, they're 8 millimeter. So it needs 8 millimeter. Oh, where is it? Yeah. So this screw is almost impossible to reach. So I decided to remove this piece, which is connected with a 10 millimeter screw. Okay, because it was so hard to get that screw loose, I decided to use a screwdriver to get underneath the rubber, so to loosen it. And now it was possible to loosen here this part, and behind also that part. So now this is loose, and I hope it's easier to remove that screw. Or I could even try, not sure, to remove this clamp as well and to pry it open here, and then we have great access to the thermostat. But I think unscrewing the screw will just do enough. Okay, so this is the thermostat. It was placed like so in there, and there's a rubber sealing from this side. Okay, so I managed to get this long tube out of here. I'm not sure if it would be easy to place it back. I did it by moving this part all up here onto the fan and then pry it out from there. I'm going to remove that clamp, and then I think this whole tube will be loose and I will be able to get it out. Yeah, I'll be able to get it out here. Alright, so there are more hoses. As you can see, there's the water pump, and there's one hose going there and is connected to the water pump. And then there's another hose that's connected from the other side, and it goes into the reservoir. And this reservoir is connected here and is connected here and there, but I think you just need to move it in that direction and it will get loose. And so the only way it's connected is here with this screw, so you need to unscrew this and then move it in that direction. If you unplug those or that's the tube. And there's also important not to forget here. There's a connector for the sensor for the coolant. And also, if I want to get rid of this tube, it's connected here. So I'm going to loosen this clamp to get and move the tube somewhere here. Okay, so this one here is just a simple clamp. You move it up and then move it out from the back, so you pull it out. And be careful not to drop this. And I think to check. So this one just pops out in this direction. I need to have some force here, of course. It goes, this little thing goes in here if you want to place it back later on. So this one is 8 millimeter. This is how this screw looks like. And then it's just as simple as moving it in that direction. And popping it up like this. Oh, wait, I forgot a connector. Very important. So I need to unplug it. So this was the connector. And here from below you can push it like so, and then pull it gently. And this is the reservoir. The sensor can be turned a bit, so it's easier to remove the plug. So you can see there's one clamp. I think it's not original. It needs to be opened and pushed up, and then push this tube up. And I'm not quite sure if it will work because it's quite a short tube. It goes like that and there below into the engine. And need to unclamp this clamp and that clamp. Move this tube out. It's this short piece, and I'm just gonna put it aside. And this one is still connected to many spots. As you can see here, and it goes there, there. So this one needs to be unplugged, and I think then it's loose. You can see the pump is connected here with these screws, and yeah, I think yeah, it's two things. I think this is the lid and there is the pump, so it also needs to be unscrewed here, and usually here should be also a screw, but somebody removed the screw. And on the other side, I think here it's stuck, and that's it. Okay, this tube is loose. That tube is super stuck, and this one as well. This one won't loosen. I think I can handle the screws around here without taking this off. But that one will be a bit of a problem. I hope if I remove this part, so untighten all these screws around here, then I'll be able to have a bit more space to disconnect that tube. Those are 8 millimeter. Okay, I found 1, 2, 3, 6 screws holding the water pump. For some I had to use an extension here for my ratchet, because, well, there was like still a tube in the way, and there was a piece of metal. And be aware that if you remove the water pump, it will also start leaking. And those screws were quite rusted, so I think it's good anyway to remove it. This water pump is very rusted and old. Oh, well, it seems there is where is it? One more screw over there. So that makes 7 screws. And then we can start to hammer a bit here on this to loosen this pump, because there's some silicone in between. So 7 screws. Yeah, I used that hammer, but I hardly had to tap it. So I think the silicones here are all gone. So if we place this back, the silicones have to be replaced as well. Well, you need to do it anyway. Okay. Now I see still this tube is there. Perhaps it's easier to reach it now. Oh, one more thing. If you're pressing here, holding your body, then don't press here or here. This is the radiator and some hoses here. So this part is sturdy. Also, this one don't push it. It's just plastic. It's confusing a bit. And one more thing. You can see that this water pump is being driven by this serpentine belt. And while I'm filming it, I see the serpentine belt also needs to be replaced. Of course, it's cracking. And as you can see, the serpentine belt is like a huge belt. It goes around many rollers. So what you need to do is you need to write down the position of the rollers, and also if the serpentine belt is going on the flat side or on the side with what is, I don't know how to call it. By the way, this is some debris from me. It's sawing through the broken clamp. Yeah. So I need to remove those bits as well, because they might damage the rollers. Then how to remove the serpentine belt? Do it here. This is the tensioner. So here goes in a big ratchet, and then you move it to this side, like so, and then the tension comes off the belt and you can remove it. Okay, this tube is stuck extremely. You can see also it has been clamped a bit too strong. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use several tools, and hopefully it will work to get rid of this tube. I'm going to use a flat screwdriver, and beware not to use anything. Oh, well, this one is a bit sharp, but so to do it gently. You don't want to stick through the rubber, else you'll get a hole. Something to gently move the tube to side to side, and W40 or penetrating oil can also be used. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this one underneath the tube. I did that already a bit. You can see like so, and then you've got a spot where you can put your W40 in, and then wait a bit, and then use this tool and to move this a bit to the sides, and hopefully it will come loose. Okay, so I put the W40 here underneath this tube, and I also placed some here on the screws that we're going. There's one below there as well. So there are 3 screws holding this water pump. And so the next thing is I'm going to use this tool and move this a bit to the side. Okay, and I think it's already moving, so I can try to pull it out now. Done. It's now loose, so now I can continue removing the water pump. Okay, to get loose the serpentine belt, you need to put in a wrench here, but the wrenches I have got in my kit, there are just 2 of them, and the size is in between the small one and the big one. Luckily, I have also got some, I don't quite know how they are called, but momentum wrenches. So to apply a specific force when you're removing bolts. And the good thing about this is they're also big. Like if you'd like to try this with this wrench, it's a bit short. You would need an extension, like a tube that you put around the handle to have more force to it. So the medium one, so small, medium, large. So the medium one is the one that you need. And I put this already to a higher momentum. So you put this down and then you start screwing until this moves up. And now you put this in the unscrew position here. This one is not. This one is fastening and this one is loosening. I can put it in there and then hold here, apply force, and then it comes loose. For the serpentine belt, I made this drawing, and you can see all those circles are the rollers, and there are very many. And as you can see here, I did write an F for flat, and there are 2, and the rest is not flat. Now what does flat mean? Flat means that the belt goes on the flat part here on the roller. So here you can see it's the way around. The flat part goes up, and here you've got these indents, but here it's flat. And for the water pump, the same thing. Here you can see it's flat. Before I continue with the serpentine belt, I'm going to unscrew this screw and then that screw. So this screw is a 10 millimeter. Now you use a long socket. And yeah, then we're going to continue with the bigger screws. So these bigger ones are 13 millimeter. Also use a long socket. Okay, I did loosen up all these screws. There's one, second one, and somewhere here is the third one. Okay, I don't remove the bolts completely. I want to remove the serpentine belt. So I did loosen it. So first, with this tool, bring it to the side and then remove the belt from this roller. Also check, that's the reason I wanted to do it, check if the rollers are rolling smoothly. This one is. And then also remove it from this roller. Yeah, and then you can continue with the rest of them. Okay, with the serpentine loose, it's now only holding on the water pump, and this is preventing me from taking it off. So I need to remove the water pump now with those 3 bolts. So these look interesting. So this one came from here, You can see this is all tight, so you unscrew the whole screw at once. But this was the top one, the top bolt. I put it back so it doesn't, so I don't lose it. Okay, now they're all loose. You can see this one spins. It's a little bit. It's not that hard, or it's not going so smoothly. But well, good enough. This one goes easily. This one goes easily. This one also moves easily. Right, there's one more for the alternator. Also moves smoothly. Now this one, it doesn't move at all. That's normal, because it's connected to the crankshaft, it's called, of the engine. So the engine is producing the rotational force, so this belt moves. So it's normal that this doesn't move now. If you're done with the serpentine belt, remember to put this one back to 0 nanometer. Okay, put it and like do this one backwards and then screw back and goes back to 0. So like this, there's no tension on the feather that's inside this tool, and then it will last longer. So this is how the water pump looks like. So you can see how it works. The serpentine belt will be placed here and it will move this pump around while the engine is running. Okay. And here's the serpentine belt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see it's quite well cracked. Let's see if there's some numbers here on the serpentine belt. Yes, there are. W4E 8620AA, made in the USA. Okay, thermostat. We've got here boiling water. And let's see if this one works. What I did found before I did this test was this piece of rock sitting right in that hole. So I did remove the rock and hopefully everything will work a lot better. Out to water, what this thing does, if it gets warm enough, this spring, or I think this is being contracted, meaning that this plate will come to this direction, creating a hole between this plate and this plate. So in between those two, just as you saw on the video. Here you can also see the temperature needed for the system to work. It's 87 degrees Celsius and what is it? 1821 Fahrenheit. So my water was boiling at 100 degrees. So while I'm doing the work on the car, I as well can change this the system here below, this one, which is a valve for the heater, for the coolant going to the heater. And it's a three-way system, so meaning you've got two compartments in your car with different temperature. And it's all regulated here by this valve. Okay, how to unplug it. You can see here this red thing. It's a connector. What you do, you put this, pull this red part upwards. Let's try. See, it doesn't work. So there's just too little space here because of this vent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unplug it, but first I will remove those clamps, those 3 clamps, 1, 2 and 1 below, to loosen the tubes. And then afterwards I'm going to unscrew that screw, and that's holding this valve system. Okay, both of them are loose. 1 and 2. And the third one is actually already loose because it's connected to this. So all 3 are now loose. So now I can remove that screw and unplug it. So for that one I use an 8mm. So this is how the screw looks like. Okay, and with the screw gone, we just slide this whole system out. You can move it in that direction. It's still stuck to something. No, it still did work. And now only the connector. So my screwdriver here and pushed a little bit from the side, and then it did unplug. So now it's loose. That one is the old part, and this one is the new old part. It's a used part. I've got an old car, so I don't mind using some used parts as long as it works. Now we need to move the tube from the old part to the new part, and I want it in the same position. So what I found here on the side is here this thing, and what I did, oh I see it's gone already, but I placed a marker here on the tube, so I need to do it again with some marker stift. Yeah, and so it's easier to put it back the way it should be. Or you can use, in this case, markers by the clamps. You see here, it's ending and about the same spot. So next I'm going to clean the tube with a rag, so a bit from inside, and then use a bit of W40 here and on the inside of the tube, so it will slide on easier. So with this W40 it did slide in like butter. I put the marker in the same position, and I want this clamp to be placed exactly in the same hole it was before, because that way the tube will hold longer. So now it's in the same position. So this one is already done, and we need to continue with the 2 other ones. Now both of the clamps are in position. Let me see, it's not this one, it's this one, and we're just going to put it back. So it does click when it's in completely, and now just close it like that, and you need to put it back where the hole is. I did slide it inside. Now I can put back the screw. So this was the old water pump, and here is the cover. like so. And here is my new water pump. It looks all nice. I'm not quite sure if this really is broken. If you can see, if I turn, it turns. Or perhaps this is worn too much, like here. But I didn't buy a new seal, so I'll have to reuse this one. And for that I have to clean it here. And here inside the tube is very dirty. And this part is so dirty. Cleaning it up with a rug wasn't enough, so I'm going to use a Dremel, or well, imitation of a Dremel, to clean it up and try not to scratch it too much. After cleaning it, it looks like this. And now we still have got here the seal that needs to come off, and for this I'm going to use a piece of plastic. I'm going to use any metal for this. So unfortunately the plastic isn't strong enough for this job. You can see it's starting to crack, so I will use metal. Okay, now it looks like this. I just used this tool for gardening, and the final pieces I got out with a Dremel. It's important, like where here I tried a little bit too much, and this is not okay what I did. This might cause leaking. You don't need to push too hard to try to remove all the last bits and pieces of the seal, because then you'll damage the surface. And if the surface is damaged, if there's like holes, then the coolant will leak through them. So it's a strange seal. You can't. It looks like it is made from paper. Anyway, I'm going to place it here and then put this one on top and screw everything back together. I did clean the screws with the Dremel a bit because there was a thick layer of rust on them. So now I'm going to apply them. I did apply all the screws by hand, and next I'm going to turn them to fasten them. But beware not to put too much pressure here, because this is all aluminium, and aluminium can quickly break. So you want to fasten them, but not by really big force. So with those screws, this one goes to the top, this one goes to the bottom, and this one goes to the side. So the water pump is quite big, but with a little bit of wiggling I got it through here between the vent and this one. Right, so one thing that you need to remember, because I tried it yesterday already, if you install a water pump now, you won't be able to put the belt where it needs to be. So what you need to do, you can place the water pump already where it needs to be, but only holding one screw. This screw that goes there. I'm going to show you. Like so. Turn it just a little bit so it's sticking, but the whole water pump is free. And don't connect this tube yet. I also am going to add another clamp, because if I looked at the old water pump, here there was a lot of debris. So I think this isn't holding correctly. So I want two clamps here. So first I'm going to remove this clamp from the tube and add another one. Okay, so now there are two clamps, put them up higher onto the tube. Because I don't want to install the tube, because also this belt needs to go here underneath. Okay, so I place the belt roughly where it needs to be. So down there, over here, and there it goes, this roll. And then I didn't put it on this one, because later on I'll have to do it, because now there's too much tension on the system, so I won't be able to place it. I first will need to move this to that, in that direction. It will be a lot of force. So I decided to go for that wheel instead of this wheel, because this wheel is here above. I can reach it easily. So while I was doing it, I forgot that the water pump still is not installed, so it needs to be done first, because you want the belt to be on top here. Okay, then if we talk about how strong these bolts need to be screwed on, these will be about 8, from what I've read, 8 nanometer. And adding a little bit less than 90-degree additional turn, and these will need 25 nanometers, so they're screwed on quite hard. Before you start screwing back this water pump, you need to install this tube, because now you can play a little bit around with it, and later on it will be hard to put this tube here on this tube. Okay, so if you place the tube where it needs to be, before you tighten those clamps, first put the screw in, because if you're going to tightening the clamps, the tube might slip out. So this is a better way of putting it where it needs to be. Still, I think it even did slip out a bit for me, but not that much, and is fastened securely, so I hope this will work. Because I placed that screw, and now only this one remaining that goes underneath. Here I've got old water pump, and so you can see the position of the screws. So the top one, inside one, and here's the bottom one. So with all those screws hand tightened, and before you continue, be aware to check if the belt is laying on top of this pulley. Else it will be stuck between the pulley and the engine, and we'll have to remove everything before you can correctly place the belt. So for these screws at 25 nanometer, so place nanometer range with the torque range on the lowest. You can't really see. There it is. And I'm going to wait until it clicks, stating that the force is enough. I'm doing the same thing for the bolt that's here on the side, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it. Yep, that's the sound. And so the same thing for this one. And to be secure, I also bolted these to, what is it? Well, less than 10. I think it was 6 or 7 would have chosen. I don't want to force these screws because, well, there are some stories of these screws breaking under too much force. So if you put back this one, be sure to leave this one last. So you put the belt on all the pulleys except on this one, and then if you pull this back with this key, then with it fully back to that side, you can place the belt on also this boot. Now, be aware that when you place the belt, it tends to slip over pulleys. So you need to check everywhere if it's placed correctly. And so do an inspection, and here in this case, I think it is placed correctly everywhere. But that's 2 times where it wasn't placed correctly, so check that. And here I see those clamps are a little bit too close to the belt, so I want to move them a little bit more towards this side. And I've noticed that you can fasten these clamps also with your ratchets. And finally I decided to use this tool because due to the tube, the ratchet was always being pulled from opening to closing or the way around, so that tool is easier. Okay, I want to place back this tube, but we removed here a lot of debris, so here also I want another clamp. And I'm going to use some W40 on this one to slide it in easier, and I cleaned up the tube from inside. Okay, now I placed this tube back here, and the other end is there. So here there's a lot of corrosion. Oh. Come on. Yeah, there's a lot of corrosion. We're close where the thermostat lays, that's here. So I decided to clean up this part, it's a metal part, and then add another clamp there as well. I put back this tube and I added an additional clamp. It's still loose, need to fasten it. And that one needs to be fastened. But here this piece that goes in there was also corroded, so I'm going to clean it and put here also another clamp. Now I'm going to put back the thermostat. So from what I can remember, it went in like this, and there is a seal. As you can see, there's these indents, and these correspond to these spots. So then you know what side it needs to go in. So that's the way it's going to be getting in. So I need to put this on top of that, screw it back, and then that's done here, this part. So these screws are back from below. Okay, I fastened this one there. So here everything is back in place. Those clamps are fastened. And okay, during the process I also removed here this connector. Oh, where is this one? So I need to connect this back and put this one back here in this hole. Then I damaged this tube a little bit around the cables, so I need to fix that with some tape, a special tape for electric connections, and then so this one needs to go back like so. Okay, so now we've got only this tube. This system needs to go back, and also the tank for the fluid. Also put that bolt in place. So here this metal piece will be in the correct position. I lack this screw, but well, the screw wasn't here when I started, so I hope the engine will run and later on I can buy the appropriate screw. And also with a lot of tubes, there's a big chance of forgetting a tube. This one. This still needs to be connected. The cooling water tank first. Put back this one And next put the tube here all the way back, and then apply like the metal piece that was on top. This is a small piece of metal and it needs to go there. From that side, put it or push it towards this side. Then place back the screw that holds the water tank, or this tank, and then fasten this one as well. And next put the box back for the air filter, so it goes in there. There's a hole and this pin goes in there, and from the other side it goes up there. If it wants, yeah, there it is. And then put the screw back. I might just have switched screws. Perhaps this screw belongs there and, well, the way around it. I hope it's also possible to put this screw here and fasten it. The air filter goes in like this. Then the air tube also needs to be inserted. I think I only have got one screw for this, but as you can see, needs 1, 2, 3, 4. And were no screws, but were clamps. So put this piece in before you put in the air filter or the tube for the air, and put it here behind. So I think it will close like that. Right, I secured it here. And here, this is plastic. And now this one holds, and well, this one doesn't that much. So I have to buy some new parts here to connect it there and there. Okay, to put that cover on this, I found out I had to pull it out, the whole system. And then you see these holes and these things. So what you do is you put them in like that and then close the cover. So now it's closed. You can see these pins are sticking out. So now it's secured, and here it's closed, and here I put back the screw. Don't forget to put the plug back. Now for this part, it needs to go in between there and there. Before you fasten this, also check here that you positioned it correctly with this one getting in here. You need to put the cover back on. So first unscrew this, then put a cover, screw this back on, and well, here I'm missing the plugs, and the last plug I had, it has been broken. So unfortunately, this will have to do like so. So I have to fasten this one, if it's possible. Let me see. At least I need to fasten this one so it won't come out. And then I also need to reconnect this tube. Okay, now everything is connected. So check, this one needs to be secured. This one, don't forget to put this one back in place. Then what you need to do is unscrew this with a screwdriver, a big one, remove the cap and refill with coolant. Be sure that you don't have got any buckets anymore underneath your car, and that the screw there below for the radiator is closed. So now you need to combine your coolant with water. Just put in normal water, 1 liter, and you can see how much water you need to add for a specific cold, like I like it up to minus 40. So 1 liter of water would mean 1 liter of this coolant. Okay, I needed about 4.5 liter of coolant. Well, you can see that it still is a little bit too low, the level of coolant, so I have to add a bit. Here we removed this cap because this cap makes all the air bubbles come out. So it's very useful. Else there might be bubbles of air in the system, and where there's air, there's no coolant, and so the engine might get too hot. So I need to add a little bit more, so it's in between those two steps. And then I can reconnect the battery, first the plus, then the minus, start the engine, check if everything works. And while you're adding the fluid, check if it doesn't leak anywhere. Now, of course, it's a bit hard to see, but well, you have to inspect it yourself. So don't forget the screw and the cap to put them back. And don't forget any tools you've left in the car. Before you close the lid, then remove the tools. Later on I tried to start up the car and it started up. There were some problems, engine problems. And I read with an OBG scanner the fault codes. And I forgot this plug, and this one is for this connector and this is for the throttle body. So with this one disconnected, you won't have a throttle body working and you won't be able to give any gas. So I could drive the car, but without gas. So I need to reconnect this.